This report is for the end of July 2026. We'll start with figs. Thank you very much. The weather has turned dry, but it's continued humid, which makes it hard for an old body to work in the garden at midday. So I don't tend to do quite as much as I used to. There you go. And you'll see that I've not cut grass here. I've let the grass go to seed. The turkeys and the deer seem to appreciate that, so I'm not too sad that I did not get around to doing that. This morning early I spent some time with the scythe, cutting this grass here, and later on in the day when it's a bit lighter because it's dried out, I'll be able to move it around. Thank you very much. Look at those huge squash family plants. Isn't that something? Only problem is they haven't produced very many zucchinis yet because it's been rather warm and the male flowers have been very reluctant to come out. Well, there you go. The strange thing is there have been very few cucumber beetles in the flowers. Very, very few. The sweet potatoes not doing too badly. At least there will be some cuttings for next year. Now that is a red root pigweed. I understand from my reading that it contains a fair amount of oxalic acid, which is why I don't use it personally as a vegetable, but some people do. Okay, randomly going here, the gladiolus flowers just starting to appear. Haven't had any in flower yet, but they are coming. Well, let's run down here on the left hand side. The rhubarb has done its job for the year. Now, the beans are looking good. They've hit the top of the poles already and way beyond. Lots of weeds in between the rows. So what I've done is I pulled the weeds and I threw them down as a cover to discourage further germination. Lots of red root pigweed coming up there. The problem with the tall weeds is that the beans tend to grab a hold of them, so when you pull the weeds you're also tending to pull some of the young beans which have decided to grab a hold of the weeds as a climbing pole, a tuteur. Now, let's go down here and see what we've got in the way of tomatoes. There are a few tomatoes appearing now. They're all green. I haven't seen any red ones or any interesting colours yet. And it's a bit overgrown in there, but I was afraid to touch them because, generally speaking, pruning them back tends to make them grow very weird unless you've got a stable DNA inside the cells. Now, on the left hand side again, just look at these apples. Man, oh man, just look at this apple crop. My goodness me, there's enough to feed me for this year and next year. if I can keep the crows and the raccoons out. This is my bean field. You remember that I sowed the beans with the machine. It worked well. That'll keep the weeds down though. The weeds grow faster than the beans. That's the problem. I haven't done any grass cutting down here. It's just been too hot, you know, for my 22-inch mower. One of these days, when I get old, I'm going to have to buy a ride-on mower. More scything this morning. Lots of weeds to be hand-pulled. Now we're coming down to the potato patch. There are potatoes underneath there, and they're still absorbing sunlight, so they're still growing quite rapidly. I started working on this end, which is where the Yukon Golds start. 3 rows of Yukon Golds. I'm pulling weeds at the moment and discovering a few volunteers, which is encouraging. But what a mess, eh? You see the white flowers? That's rocket or arugula, and I'm letting those go to seed, and we'll be saving the seed for next year. Right, this is the later planting of gladiolus. And then this complete mess in here, yes, I understand it's a complete mess. There are onions underneath there, and I just haven't had the time or the inclination in the heat to get in there and pull the weeds. So thankfully there is no overarching boss to tell me to get out there and sweat my brains out. So there you go. Alright, I'm not going to do any more than that at this time, apart from to say that in amongst the elders there are volunteer locusts appearing, and I have to go in there and cut those back rather vigorously. Lots of vines ramping around. And just a quick note, those apple trees over there are Cortland. They're not as productive as my other variety, but there will be a few. Maybe I could sacrifice them for the raccoons. Just a quick comment about this patch here. What there are, in fact, there is 2 squashes, zucchini and butternut. I planted the butternut, and you can see that they are starting to appear out as trailing vines. The zucchini, of course, are bush type. I should have planted the butternut a bit further out so that they would be free of the shade from the zucchini. Remember that for next year. Otherwise, thank you for watching.